You are live.
All right, good evening, Northport Bobcat fans, students, friends, and family. We want to welcome you to the Bobcat Blitz here at the official home of the Blitz, your Central Northport Beef over 80s. All right, tonight, special guests, we've got cheerleading, we've got cross country, football update, and much more. And now presenting us live, Mr. John
All
Raleigh.
right, man. I feel like I'm in the house right now. Let's go. I should like run out the tunnel. Maybe we
Be the
should do that
Bobcat.
too.
Be the Bobcat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I want to talk real quick about last week's show. It was amazing. We didn't get a lot of push out, but we certainly got a lot of feedback. We had over 1,000 viewings of our show last week, which is amazing considering that nothing like this has ever happened in Northport for high school sports. So let's give it up to the athletes that had such a great week this week. Let's give it up. All right, so I've got another guest in the house, and I'm going to let her take her privilege of introducing herself because we've known each other a long time, and we just might have had kids that went to school together. Maybe.
Yes, we sure did.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not going to share those stories.
Oh, no, we're not. No, we're not. So just go ahead and introduce yourself and lead on.
I really don't know if I can top you two. I'm like in the middle of two sports announcers, and I have no sports announcing ability whatsoever.
Well,
So,
project, baby. Let's go.
You speak to the public every night. You're talking to the public all night. So.
well, I am Commissioner Debbie McDowell from the city of Northport, the amazing city of Northport. But not only am I an elected commissioner, I have lived in Northport for 34 years. My children, our children, grew up in Northport. They went to school in Northport. They participated in sports in Northport. They participated in ROTC in Northport. We are a family that is all about Northport, all about the Bobcats. Go Northport Bobcats, no matter what sport you're in.
No doubt.
No doubt.
Go Bobcats.
I don't know what else to say.
Well, listen, commissioners have been a staple hold, really a staple hold.
For over 60 years.
Yes, well, not only with that, but with the high school
Yes.
and events at the high school. And you guys have had really good, strong relationships with the school board
Yes.
and to really try to enrich our creation of a high school, I would say. It took a lot of teamwork between the school board and the commissioners of past to get this thing going. As a parent, we both have been through this gamut already, but as a parent, what is something that you would suggest sophomores, freshmen, and get going, the parents that are coming across from middle school, what would you try to engage with them and tell them to do?
So for the parents really need to support their kids, no matter what it is they're doing. They need to be involved. And with sports, if your children are involved in sports, you as parents really need to be involved in the boosters and the athletic clubs. Also help and volunteer with that actual sport. My son played Bobcat baseball. They went really, really far in Bobcat baseball. And you have to be there to support the team, whether that's making them dinner, helping them with their homework, getting them rides to practice or games. There's a whole wide variety of needs. You have to get with your coach to help figure out what those needs are. And it's not just with the sports, it's with anything that your kids are doing at the high school level. I know the kids really don't want mom or dad in the background, but guess what? You don't have to be there in the background and doing things with them. You're actually doing things for them and for the team in the background. For the kids, try out different sports. If football isn't your thing, go to baseball. If baseball is not your thing, maybe it's
Cross
soccer
country.
or cross
There you
country
go.
or
Absolutely.
there's so many different sports that you can get involved in. Don't just hone in on one if you're really not too sure. Try out. If you don't make it that year for JV, try out again.
Commissioner, when did your children start picking up? Youth, middle school, high school? When was
So my kids started at Little League with baseball,
Little League.
Little League baseball. But when they were in high school, they were also involved with the football program and the basketball program. But, his focus was on baseball. My other son's focus was on ROTC. So I helped and supported the ROTC in the ways that they needed that help and support.
Well, I want to talk about ROTC for a minute because the ROTC program has actually been a very essential part of sports at the high school.
Yes.
Can you talk about that because you've had kids in that
So
program?
usually ROTC is in charge of the color guards. Usually they're there to help give support to the teams. And it's all encompassing. It's not just the football players. You got to remember there's the color guards, there's the cheerleaders, there's all sort. I don't even know what all the different things are that are being offered at high school these days compared to when my kids were in school 15 years ago or so. I'm getting old.
I wish you wouldn't have added that up personally.
But no, it's all about involvement and helping them out. If you don't have kids at school, you can still help out and you can still volunteer through the various different programs. They're always looking for help.
And we always need announcers to volunteer.
Not this voice.
Parents can do it. Sure. When you're done with your job here at the city, you can come on over.
You're gonna have to teach me how to do that announcing voice.
I actually think you're sounding pretty good.
I do
Oh,
too.
yeah,
I think we got our
watch
JV,
out,
you might have
basketball.
Listen, I might have to step off stage here in a
No,
minute
no,
because
no.
she's got such a strong voice.
So, Commissioner, I remember a couple years back, I forgot what year it was. You had a jersey on with your name on it, I
Oh,
believe.
yeah.
How long ago was that? How can we get that back on you out on the sidelines?
So a few years ago, I think I was only an elected commissioner for about 2 years, and Mr. Rawlings' son really wanted more participation from the government to come out and give support, whether it's just to stand on the sidelines and cheer, just to let people know that even Northport government supports their efforts. So what they did was they got us a t-shirt, had my name on the back, it said Bobcat on the front. I had that shirt all these years up until about 6 months ago, and I'm not going to say what happened to the shirt because I would then have to admit that I've gotten a little pudgy over these years.
Have we all? Oh, gosh.
I'm not going to speak for anybody else, only for myself.
I'm guilty.
But yeah, those t-shirts were really nice because it did support Bobcat Sports and Bobcat at the high school.
So go back though, because there's some history of commissioners wearing
Yeah.
jerseys.
Yeah.
They
the
bought
commission
their
meetings.
own. Well, they bought their own back in the day too.
Mhm.
Jim Blucher, and that was back in
I would
Vanessa.
love to get that back.
Oh my gosh, I think it would be so awesome. What they did was they actually bought their own jerseys and put their own numbers and names on the back and did their thing and got introduced before the game. And it really it brought, I think, a lot of people closer to the commissioners too.
Absolutely. I would love to see that come back, and I don't know how to make that happen, but
Well, I think
You
you
know,
just
like-
did.
we had a commission meeting today, and I could have wore the Bobcat jersey at the commission meeting today. I remember when I was in high school, the government leaders would be at the games, and if they went further than just, homecoming, they were always there. If they went to like regionals or state or semis, whatever, they were always involved in that and helped promote it. I know as a commission, we also help promote the youth, not just the high school, but the youth programs. If they have something going on, if we need to do a proclamation, that's fantastic. When the Atlanta Braves won the World Series, we did a proclamation for that because spring training, Atlanta Braves here,
Right here.
Northport, yay!
And that would have never happened without that.
Exactly,
And the effort that it took to get them here.
right.
And you're talking about building relationships within City Hall. So you guys build relationships out. In sports, you build relationships right there. That's your family. And you talked about the family support.
Yep.
So I remember back with the network of families that we had, there was this intense following. And the kids learned to like it more because all the parents were participating, and it just became a sports family, kind of united and marching forward.
Mhm.
And the kids were, I think, some of the times were drug along with the parents because we were all having too much fun.
Yeah, the parents have a lot of fun getting together.
Yes, so it's
Tailgate parties. I remember the first year the high school was open, every home game at the football, they had
Wait a
tailgate
minute.
parties right
This
out.
high school?
Yeah, this high
What
school. Yeah, they
Yeah.
had tailgate parties
Yeah.
right before the
Coach
football
Food, you know about
games.
this?
yep.
Uh-oh.
There were tailgate parties right before the home games.
We
on
won't
Friday
talk
nights.
about that no more though.
Uh-oh.
So
But it's kind of
On the
cool.
record.
it's what
So
we did. I
yeah.
don't know if you
Awesome.
guys are still doing
We're
it.
gonna have
But even as an elected official, one of the former players for the basketball team, Teddy Dees, sorry Teddy, I'm throwing your name out there. Woo woo. He started a program for alumni games, and he contacted me and says, "Hey, do you want to come?" Okay, I'll come. Well, I made it a point to go. I think he's done it 2 years,
third
3
year.
years in a row.
Third,
This
This
third.
is the first year I had to miss because I had something else going on,
Yep.
but I felt really, really bad. But it was important for other people, whether they know me or not, but I know I was there giving support the best way that I knew how.
Well, you've got a lot going on at City Hall, and we've got another school coming here in 25 in Welland Park. Are you getting any details on that yet?
No, I know that the elementary school just opened up this year. It's a charter school. I think it's K through 8. High school has I think they kind of put the brakes on it a year. I don't know for sure if they're opening in 25. I don't want to speak out of school. I'm not familiar with what their plans are, but yes, there is a second high school coming. So it'll be interesting to see what their team names are going to be, and now we'll have to support 2 teams. And I sense a rivalry,
Oh.
I
a
do.
major
Day one.
rivalry on day one.
I agree.
It's not even before day
zero,
one.
that's right. Now, that's
Exactly.
right.
Well, we appreciate you taking time out after a long day at City Hall.
That's all
And
right.
then did the votes all go well and everything go
You'll
according
have
to
to
plan?
watch the tape.
Oh,
Oh,
so
yeah,
we got
you're
coaches out there that do that every night. So
Watch the tape,
we're
folks.
gonna have to
Watch
go
the
watch the tape. So that's good. I appreciate you doing the stop
No
by
problem.
and being part of this.
Thank you so much for having me come by.
And as a parent, you know the importance of this.
Absolutely. And parents, support your kids.
Come on out,
Come
be
on
for
out.
Brady's.
Come on out, support the coach. Don't get in his face if you don't like the calls the umps make and all that kind of stuff. I know it's part of the game, but camaraderie and teamwork.
That's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you
part
so
of it.
much for having me. I hope you'll have me back.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Commissioner Debbie McDowell.
Bye, guys. I'm out of here.
Oh, she's out.
So fans, while we're getting set up here for our cheerleading coaches here, we got our schedule for this week yesterday. Lady Bobcat volleyball went to take Sarasota Gulf Coast Heat. Can you hear us?
Go ahead.
I get a shout out as well. Can you hear it?
Go ahead.
All right. Boys golf was away to take on Manatee. Tonight, right now, the boys golf team, they're finishing up their home match versus Port Charlotte. Tomorrow, we've got JV football here in the Preserve at 6 o'clock taking on Port Charlotte. Our JV football is 2-0 after the wonderful win against Charlotte away. We've got JV varsity volleyball and varsity volleyball home tomorrow night, Lemon Bay. I'll talk more about that later on tonight. And again, tomorrow, girls golf taking on Port Charlotte here. Thursday, we've got JV and varsity volleyball going to Charlotte, Punta Gorda. And we'll round out this week's activities. We got varsity football Thursday night. Again, another Thursday, 7 p.m. kickoff. That's going to be against Ambassadors Christian Academy. Your Bobcats are looking to go 3-1. That's right, a historic 3-1 if we can make that happen. And part of that's going to help us make it happen is our very wonderful friend, Coach Brantley, cheerleading coach, varsity cheerleading. They did a great job Thursday night, the best I've ever seen.
Oh, thank
All
you.
lined up. Their jerseys, they had beautiful uniforms. I don't remember them last year.
They're a couple years old.
Oh, they look great. They look nice and sharp. So without further ado, I'll let John take it away. Coach Brantley.
Oh, go ahead,
you.
Coach Brantley. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So you've been, we got to talk about the history a little bit too. So I'm going to have you scoot up just a tad bit, but talk about your history and how long you've been at Northport and actually cheerleading coach.
Oh, coach here or just coach in general?
And coach in general,
Okay,
because there's a good background there, isn't there?
yes. So I've been, involved in cheerleading since I was a sophomore in high school and then cheered throughout college. And while I was in college, started as an assistant coach and did some assistant coaching and some judging competitions. We hosted some competitions and things like that. Then, and then there was a period of like 6 years off and on where I coached in a couple different states, middle school teams, varsity teams, started a competition team at one of them, and then at another one, they were a non-stunting school in Ohio, and we started the stunting program there, and so I was pivotal in helping to teach proper technique and things like that.
Coach, real quick for our fans, what's stunting?
I was going to throw that in.
For our fans,
Stunting would
versus
be
non-stunting.
yes,
Is that like
stunting.
your growth? You stunted growth? What are you talking about?
No, stunting would be where the cheerleaders are lifting each other in the air,
Yep.
doing pyramids and
The scary
different-
stuff that I don't like.
The fun
It scares
stuff.
me.
That's the fun stuff.
skills. Yes.
Okay.
That's the stuff where you get excited. You just get things going, especially when you hit them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got. She's over here shaking her. She's like, nail the landing.
Oh,
How about
Hit
that?
them while they're twirling.
Nah, she knew what I was talking about.
Okay.
But as far as Northport goes, this is year 8 coaching at Northport High. And over the course of those 8 years, 7 of the, well, all 7, we have at least qualified for state semifinals or state finals. 4 of those went to state finals, and 1 of them we were state runner-up. That
Awesome.
was in
And
2021.
that's like just roughly how many schools you're talking about going up to states?
Well, oh goodness, I don't even know how many.
60 something counties, like 1 per county,
There-
or
No,
more than that?
it just depends. This year alone, I know there were 100 new teams
Whoa.
last year
Yeah.
that started in competition in Florida.
Wow.
So there were already
Couple hundred ready
yeah.
to go. Dang.
So yeah,
It's when you go to a cheerleading competition, it's an
You
event.
got an announcer for those? That's awesome.
Oh, no, there is.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Is it a special
What?
announcer?
There are announcers there.
there are announcers there. They announce in between, announce the
Okay.
teams coming on and things like that. So yeah.
Do you ever host anything down this area that big?
We
like
do.
Regionals?
We do have our own home competition that we host. It's November 11th this
And
year
where's that going to be at?
in the cage.
Oh, okay.
That's gonna be a lot of fun
That's a
too.
It
weekend.
is.
Like,
It's a Saturday.
Have we done that before?
We have. It's been off and on for a few years, but we did it a couple years before COVID, and then we were off for a couple years. But then last year we brought it back up again, and so yeah.
What's the success like when you're doing it at home?
It's a different atmosphere because you're at home, so you feel that that home pride and
Yep.
things like that. So there's a little bit difference in performance when you're doing it there. Not
Just
as
like-
much pressure though,
And I
or
ask,
different pressure, I should say.
but I ask you that because I am a firm believer that cheerleading is athletic. It's 100% a sport. It is a varsity sport,
We do.
but it's beyond that because they don't get the credit they're due a lot of times with society. It's just cheerleading. Okay, well you go do that.
Exactly.
All right. So I danced. I danced Friday night for 3 hours. Saturday, I felt like I cheerleaded for at least 3 games. My legs were heavy as all get out. Imagine if we didn't have cheerleaders cheering on the games and getting the momentum going in the crowd. There's some real importance to that.
Absolutely.
All the way through up into, and if it wasn't important, they wouldn't have it in college and they wouldn't have it in pro sports.
Exactly.
And just because you're a cheerleader here, it doesn't mean you can't be a Cleveland Indian and be ketchup or mustard running around and be a mascot. Though there are athletic moves with that too.
Right.
So that this leads people to a lot of different places, even becoming coaches and coming back and coaching at alma maters or even middle school and elementary school, getting a business started. So there's all kinds of things. Go ahead.
We actually have 4 coaches on staff right now, between the JV and the varsity teams that are all graduates of Northport High.
That's by itself, that's an amazing feat because you don't have that a lot of times.
Right.
And leave it to us. I'm kind of dumbfounded right now. Leave it to Bobcat Blitz kind of talk about things that have been occurring that we all didn't know about.
Right.
And this is one of them. That's fantastic. That's a great story.
Coach, how many schools do you think are going to come to that event in the 11th? Do you have any idea of the
Um,
count yet?
Right now, we have about 10 teams
Oh, okay.
that have committed, but it could
Are
be
they
more.
called meets or are they called?
It's just a
tournaments?
competition.
Okay.
It's pretty much an all-day thing. Teams come in throughout. We're incorporating Pop Warner teams this year, so we're
Awesome.
doing a division for the rec teams to bring those
Do
in.
these wins or losses or placements, they add points to get you to the States? Is that how it kind of works?
Not really.
No.
We just we have to compete in a certain number of competitions
Okay.
in order to go there. The only ones that qualify us to go to state is our regional competition. So, and then we also have another regional that would take us on to nationals.
Well, as it so happens, this last week you have a cheerleader who was named our female athlete of the week, and I'd like to introduce her and have her come up here and you can do it. Fans, we want to thank here at the Blitz. Want to thank Jersey Mike's in Northport for our Bobcat Way Student Athlete of the Week, Miss Alita Basho. Is that correct? Alita is a 4-year varsity letterman on the cheer team. Alita displayed the Cats through being consistent, ambitious, trustworthy, of scholarship. They do a program here with CATS will stand for something. Each one again, consistent, ambitious, trustworthy, and scholarship. Coach, why don't you go ahead and give us a few words on what got your eye to get her nominated for this?
All right.
Go ahead.
Well, Alita came in as a freshman. She was the only freshman her year in 2020 that made the team. She's a former gymnast, and she came to the team that year and has just been super special on the team and has been a source of energy and excitement and commitment and just a really good example. The information that I submitted for her to be the athlete of the week was that she's always driven to want to reach new skills and to get things that we've not accomplished before, and not just for herself but for others on the team, and willing to help and encourage people, and then just her sense of dedication and commitment to success is what I think is the most that stands out.
So, Alita, you've been a senior. Were you straight varsity? Did you do JV ranks to get your way up? How did that work for you?
I just started cheer and I made the varsity team my first year.
Oh, you did? So
Yeah,
you were
freshman
varsity all
year.
4 years.
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Does that happen very often, Coach? Or?
Every couple of years we have a freshman or two that stands out, and we'll bring them on. But it just has to be certain skill sets that they would have, and just how coachable and willing to learn.
Did you come from the Bobcat, the junior teams to get up here, the junior cheerleaders? Or?
Well, I started out as a gymnast all through first grade through 8th grade, and I decided that I wanted to try something new. And so when I got to high school, I tried out for the cheer.
So it was brand new. Your first year ever cheerleading was your freshman year. No,
Yep.
8th, 7th. Oh,
No,
okay.
my first year of cheerleading, and then I got on varsity.
Excellent. All right.
So what has this meant to you? The journey in cheerleading.
Well, it's very different compared to gymnastics, because gymnastics is a very self-disciplined sport. You only have yourself, but as a cheerleader, you have your whole team. You have your stunt group, which is your 2 bases, a flyer, and the back spot when we do the stunts, and you're all working together throughout the whole routine and the season and each stunt. So it's very different, and it's a team sport. So it's very special to me because I've always wanted to be part of a team. And when I joined the cheerleading team, I finally felt like I was part of one.
So how's that helped you in school? Is the camaraderie better in school because you have your team support around you?
Oh, yeah. When I first started freshman year, I was so nervous. But luckily, since cheerleading starts practice in the summertime, I was able to meet a whole bunch of new friends, and they welcomed me and greeted me at school, and I had a few classes with them. So it was really nice to be able to walk into school and have a few familiar faces.
Coach, on your team, does she have a certain amount of group, or there's one? I saw there's 3 or 4 captains kind of. They each captain do their own.
Yes.
Alita's captain, right?
Yes, she is one of 4 captains on the team.
So how does that divvy up?
So basically, we divide the team up between all the captains, and they have their own group. We call them families. And so they have their own little family that they kind of take care of. They nurture, they kind of mentor them and help to make sure they all kind of know what's going on and lead them, and then as well as when we're on the sidelines, they're leading the cheers and making sure that
How big's your
everyone's-
family, Alicia? How big's that family?
I think I have 6 people in
6?
my family.
There you go.
But yeah.
But there's one thing I can tell. Every time she gets excited, she smiles a lot. You got a winning smile, but her voice, she starts projecting out. Do you need to use that voice when you're cheerleading?
Oh, yes, you do. We always talk about using your diaphragm so that fans can make sure they can hear you.
That's awesome.
What is the most exciting thing that's happened to you in your short, I would say short, cheerleading career? What's the most exciting moment for you?
I think my most exciting moment was like I heard you talking about state runner-up, and like I was part of the team, the competition team, and it was my first year competing, and we made it to state runner-ups, and that was very exciting to be able to know that we could make it that far.
What would you tell the younger crowd that's out there, men and women, because really the guys are coming on too, and the
Yes.
cheerleading side of things, and it's that I think beating up, bad word, just the feeling that guys can't cheerlead from way back when. And, I think we see it now in pro sports. We see it in collegiate, and we're seeing it more and more in high school. What would you tell the younger generation? Because you are a great example of not having cheerleaded up until, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
So what would you tell them? What would you tell them to do?
Well, for the first 2 years, we had a co-ed team, and it was really great to have those boys on our team and show off that it's not just some girly type of thing. And if you asked any of them, they would tell you, no, this is a real sport. It's hard work. You put in a lot of work. You have to be strong and driven, and it's not just about being able to do it, but have the technique to be able to do these things. And it's a lot harder than a lot of people make it out to be.
Well, you're talking about technique. There's a lot of training that has to go in and repetition.
Yeah.
I was track and cross country through my career, and we just didn't go out and run track meets. We had to practice, we had to work hard, and we had to really kind of focus in on our skill set. There's no difference in the conversation.
Yeah.
I see you shaking your head. There's a lot of work that goes into this, isn't there?
Yes, there is. We have practice 3 hours, 3 days a week, and game day, which is also a lot of work and dedication to take for competition and sideline cheer.
How has this impacted you in classroom?
More disciplined, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
Are you tired?
yes. But no, it's a really time management, get your work done so you're able to come to practice, get good grades so you can practice, because if you don't have the grades, then you can't cheer. So it's really doing good in school, doing well, making sure all my assignments are in and I do good on tests.
Awesome.
So that I can cheer.
Fantastic. Well, I'm proud of you. Keep up the good work. That's
Thank you.
we never hear somebody just walking out and taking off. You just don't hear those stories, and
Yeah.
that's a great story. I'm so proud of you, and I'm glad you're going to inspire others to do the same thing. So, Sean,
Coaches, before you go, I got to ask you, are we going to have an away cheerleading team this year? Do the away cheerleaders go?
We are going to all of the football games that are home and away except for one,
So
and that's just because of the distance.
Gotcha. Is it the full complement of cheerleaders, or is it a away
No,
crowd?
the whole team.
Oh, they do? Oh, excellent. Good. Awesome. All right. And when football's over, do you overlap to other cheerleading sports, like basketball, or does that stop?
We overlap into competition cheer.
So that would be
Competition doesn't start
basketball.
till winter sport, so
Okay.
Yeah.
it starts in mid-October. So we overlap for a few weeks doing sideline
Gotcha.
and competition, and then we're strictly competition until February.
Okay.
Fantastic.
And then do you take a break, or is it
Yes, there's
lift
usually
weights and rows until?
there's usually a break between beginning of February and then 1st of May.
Not much of a break then. Okay.
No.
All right.
Fantastic.
Gotcha. Well, thank you.
Thank
Coaches,
you.
thank you so much.
good job.
you.
Let's give it up for her.
Yeah, fantastic.
Good job.
It's Alita Pasha, if I said it right this time. Fans, while we're setting up for our next coach, don't forget you can catch all your live home action on Team Number One Sports, team1sports.com. You can catch all of our field events as well as our cage events. That is going to be volleyball, basketball, football, and soccer. It's team1sports.com. They have single game packages as well as monthly and seasonal. All right, fans, before we get started here, I am so glad to see this gentleman up here. One of Northport's legends, I'd say, legendary coaches. Yes, he's too meek and mild. Before you start, Coach, do you like to be called Coach Fu or something else that no one's ever called you? Like we just say Coach Fu.
Coach Fu.
It's always gonna be Coach Fu. All right, this is Coach Fu. I'm just trying to give you a different name. Thank you, Coach. This is our cross country and track and field coach. Does both of our sports for us. Thank you for coming on the Blitz today, Coach.
No problem. My pleasure.
Great to see you here. John, I know you know this man very well.
Just a couple years, not
Yeah,
anything major.
yeah.
So Coach Fu, how many years have you been in Northport?
It's my 21st year.
Whoa.
How long have we been open?
23 years.
Oh,
23. So are you the most tenured athletic coach?
I believe so.
Is Tony above you or not, or the same?
Me and Tony started the same year, but obviously he doesn't coach
Yeah,
anymore.
so you're the longest continuous
Yeah.
active coach we've ever
So
had.
there's something to be said about that. And with the amount of effort that you had to put into not just carry on this program, but you had to start to build this program with track and cross country. What kind of energy did you have to put into that to get the organization where it's at now?
Well, I had a lot of help because me and Tony kind of worked together.
Absolutely.
Track and field. But when I took over cross country, I remember our count was negative and we had about 6-7 runners. It was tough to build at first, and it took years. But we're to the point where I feel very comfortable, and our program's always successful.
And you've had a lot of really good runners come through the program that went on to run elsewhere, didn't you?
Correct. Recently, we just had Evan Crane, who finished 8th in the state last year, and he signed a scholarship to Florida Gulf Coast to run for them.
You know, there's a lot of work that goes in. We just had cheerleading on. It doesn't matter what the sport is. There has to be a gallant effort put in to run and qualify, but just even to participate with somebody who has never run before, there's a lot of teaching, a lot of structure that goes into that. What is it that your team is doing now? I think really cohesively doing to be inclusive to everybody and bring everybody's game up.
Well, the great thing about cross country, separate from other sports like even track and field, is they all do the same event. They all do the exact same thing, so they know what each one is going through. It's not like baseball where there's a guy that catches, there's a guy that pitch. We all do the same exact thing in cross country. So you can't have like, oh, I do more than you. No, we do the exact same race, exact same distance, exact same workouts. So they understand each other, and that makes them closer.
And that camaraderie carries on a long way, doesn't it?
100%.
Do you see that carry on through classroom participation?
Oh, yes. Cross country usually has the better.
It's a high GPA and the higher
We're
one.
close to the top, yeah. But
Do you help monitor that too?
oh no, those
Oh,
kids are way smarter than me. My son, who's here today, he's never once asked me to help him with his homework, and he's a straight A student.
Nice.
You have the most luxurious statement there. You don't have to check their grades at all because they all like 3 points above GPAs.
There's something to be said about that too,
Exactly,
because
exactly.
the level of commitment, they don't want you to have to do that either.
Right.
You know, I mean, you could have to do that, but I think it's your coaching style too, because you've got a positive outlook, and I think you're throwing positive outlooks onto them too. I still remember Mr. Keg, and he usually watches, and he was my track coach and cross country coach when I ran, and I still have a relationship with him today. So, do you still have relationships with people that have graduated in the past 21 years?
A lot of them. I actually have a handful of alumni who are probably late 20s now who will come back to our invite and just help
Stevie's
out.
one of them.
Yep.
Yeah, Stevie.
And they tell me they'll do anything. And
Yeah.
I said every year, I'm like, hey, invite's on this date. They mark down the counter and they show up.
What's one of the biggest events? And I'm teeing this up for you if you can't tell. What's one of the biggest events that you do for the cross country and track at the high school?
Cross country, we have the Northport invite, which is actually happening next weekend, and it is the largest on-campus cross country meet in the state of Florida.
So hang on a second. Let's analyze that
Yep.
for a minute. Because every year I was at Northport, you got 20, 30, 40, 50. When did you break that record that you are the biggest of the entire state of Florida? What number did you have to cross?
We were in the 60s for a while, and
Uh-huh.
I just talked to my timer because we got to the point where we had to hire a timer, and I thought, like, you think this is the biggest meet on high school campus? Like when high school hosts little cross country meets on campus, you get about 10, 15.
Yeah,
like Venice High had theirs last weekend, and they had 8.
8? And you were going to have how many this time?
Right now, we're at between 89 and 90 schools.
Whoa,
Wow.
stop it. I heard
That's
88.
insane.
What?
That's insane.
For all you listening out there, if you never can't just close your eyes with 88 school buses and 88 sets of parents. How many athletes are you
parking is
anticipating?
ridiculous.
What's your anticipated run population for that?
Over 2,000.
2,000 runners?
How do you control that?
Oh my goodness.
A lot of organization, a lot of prep work, and
Volunteers.
a lot of volunteers,
Volunteers.
a lot of help.
The key word to that is volunteers and help. So how do you inspire your volunteers and your help?
Oh, I offer them free T-shirt, free breakfast.
And anything you can do to get them out there.
But all the volunteers I've had in the past would actually tell other teachers, like, you need to go to this event. This event you need to at least go once in your career. And they enjoy it. They have a great time, and they're amazed that this huge thing is happening on our campus. We get a lot of people involved. ROTC. I even have a drum line. The band comes out, plays on a stretch of the course. So we try to get the whole school involved.
And school camaraderie is a big thing for older schools. We're a younger school, even at 21, 23 years old. We're a very young school. How did you keep your kids in that sports mindset, the rah-rah?
For my current team?
Yeah.
Well, what Tony Miller has been doing is trying to create a culture where all sports, support each other. My cross country team, we went to a swim meet last week just to support them, and personally, that was something different for me too.
Is that your first time doing it as a team?
As a team, yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was great because I've done it once as AD, but I didn't really watch. Last week we went and we watched, and I was like, this is interesting.
That's cool.
Like, I've never seen this before. Like, it was pretty cool.
Great idea for you, Coach. What about a new division where you have athletes from the high school that aren't runners run the 5K?
Well, that would be a challenge.
Get them all out there. Or do a fun mile, something like that. That'd be pretty cool. A little fun run there. That's awesome.
Have you ever had a student that came out first year, never ran before? I know that I'm setting you up for this too. What would a student go through to join your team now and get started?
Well, our number is so small. If you just say you want to join a team, I'll let you come out. But it's great that you asked that question because I actually have an athlete here who came out for the first time last year, and no, not making fun of him, but it felt like I had to teach him how just to run.
Right.
And now this year he's on our varsity squad.
Well, and I'm glad you actually said that because the teaching part of running, I still remember my track coach pounding all the information in my head, and I watch track events now totally different than a lot of my friends do because I'm watching technique, I'm watching handoffs, I'm watching all these things happen, and things change. Believe it or not, the handoff changed, the V, all the all the things I learned. I'm watching handoffs like side to side now and taking off. It's like, where did all the other technique go? But it's transitioned
Yeah.
with the athletes.
It's always changing, always changing.
And do you have to adapt with your runners?
I'm a little old school, so I try to keep things the same. I do tend to.
So what's your food
Clinic.
method of 5K training? What do you tell these new guys? Okay.
Oh,
Day one, we're gonna do.
my training with them is mainly on pacing. And I explained to them that you can't win a 5K in the first mile. No one
Nope.
has ever done that.
Right.
So I try to focus on them running a very smart, even pace first mile to where they can.
Have a conversation while they're running.
Not
That kind of pace,
not
like
that-
my pace, where I
Not
can.
that slow. This I know
Uh,
a tagger who you're about to bring out there. He's one of my captains. He ran probably around 5:25 for his first mile last week at Venice. So that's a comfortable pace for him. Like a lot of guys, that's going all out. But for him, that's comfortable pace. And I try to explain, you can run comfortable at a little bit over 5 minutes and not kill yourself. But,
Well, that's going to lead us in here. Yes, as John alluded to, for our boys athlete of the week here from Jersey Mike's, we got Mr. Taggart Sabo. Taggart placed second overall at the Tommy Lovett cross country invite last week in Sebring. Taggart displayed his cast through being a class act, all in, tough, and service. Coach Fu, why don't you tell us how you got how you got Taggart on your list this week? What did you do that set him apart from all your other runners?
Well, 2 weeks ago when we were at
2 weeks. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Oh, okay.
2 weeks ago, we had
Before that.
Sebring. He was our top finisher. He finished second overall in the race, and it was a gutsy battle. But he just out sprinted the guy he was fighting for. 2 guys fighting for second and third. So I nominated him mainly because of his character. He is, like I mentioned, he is one of my team captains, but he acted like a team captain before I even named him a team captain. That he showed me great leadership during the summer, and overall just a great person. And we were at El Primo's before a pregame dinner, and I see him just cleaning the tables, busting all the tables up, and he wasn't told to do that.
Awesome.
So he's just a great person. His family did a great job with him.
Taggart, how long you been running for Coach Fu here? For cross country. I know you did track also. How about cross country?
Yeah, this is my 3rd year doing cross country with Coach Fu, and since I'm graduating early, my final year.
Okay. So did you run before that, like in middle school, or is this one? Are you one of our new runners? Welcome to Northport and run for us.
Yeah, I started track in 6th grade, so I've
Okay.
been doing it for a very long time. And
So you had the basic tracks. How about the basics for cross country? Did it overlap?
so
easily for you?
for cross country, it was a whole new thing going into high school. Before I came out to summer conditioning, I never ran more than 2.5 miles without stopping before. So
Right.
then that first day of practice, I came under Coach Fu, and Coach Fu was like, hey, if you think you're really good, go out and run 4 miles. And I wasn't going to back down from a challenge. So I went out, ran 4 miles, regretted it after the 3rd one. But that taught me a valuable lesson about this being a new sport, and that required heart. But that was a good introduction to the sport.
So he just mentioned, Coach mentioned about having pace control. Is that hard to do at your age group? Because you just want to go how fast you can and
Yeah,
check the rest.
there's certainly been some races where I try to start out in the front, get ahead of my teammates, and I did that the week before Sebring, and it did not work out so well. I
Okay.
died out, I couldn't finish very strong, and I ended up coming 3rd in our team. Whereas Fu told me to keep it back, stay with my teammates last race. I did, and then I ended up having the energy to go and have an impressive kick and reserve that 2nd spot.
Do you guys practice? Sometimes when I'm seeing you guys run, sometimes I see like you're trying to lead out, like almost like a horse race. Like they'll try to run out fast on purpose to sucker the lead runners who run too fast early on. Do you guys do that kind of stuff, or is that just accidental? It happens that
Not
way.
cross country.
No, I see it on the lead card. I've seen it in the first half. I'll see it all the time.
I don't think that's strategy. I think
That was just
being
subconscious.
goofy.
It's kids being kids. Gotcha. Yeah.
There is something to be said about leading for the first 1/10 of a mile.
Yeah.
If that's your goal. If your goal is to finish and finish strong, you don't want to burn yourself out early. You want to stick with the pack and pace yourself out and find your leaders. Talking about leaders, do you study the runners that are going to a meet that you want to challenge and maybe beat?
Most definitely, yeah. Before every meet, I've looked at everyone who could be competing with me. I've looked at their miles, but I know their exact times. I know their names. sometimes it's a little more than I should, but I always like to have a good idea of who I'm going against and who I should try and beat. So it helps to pace with someone if you know how fast everyone else is going to
So
be.
I'm going to kind of combo this question with coach too. The word pacing, that's really important, but knowing who the top runners are when you're running and practicing for them, there's some set times that you want to do, like for the first quarter of it and get half. Can you talk a little bit about that? And then I'll throw it to coach.
Oh, we try not to get too involved with our opponents. I tell them not to even race that first mile. I like for them to control their pace and run a nice, smooth pace. And I even will admit at Sebring, I did a poor job coaching because I told Tiger and his teammate to stay with this Port Charlotte kid, and he just took him out way too hard. And Tiger held on, but his teammate died out, and I put it on me because I didn't, like Tiger said, I didn't scout him good enough. I seen him run once, and I thought, all right, our guys can keep up with him, but ultimately we couldn't, and he took off, and our guys died out.
Coach,
Yeah, well,
how do
and
they
that-
know their
great.
pace? I don't think they wear the watches, can they?
They can wear
They
watches,
can't, so that's how they tell their pace.
but that's the point of our workouts, to
Just
be able-
feel their pace.
They
Okay.
need to learn how to feel their pace. I would, the same with track and field. When I coach them, like I tell people, if I can tell you go run a minute around that track, and you can do it without looking at a watch and knowing, then you're good at pacing. So that's our goal, to be able to know how fast
So
we're
you're
going.
saying at 51 years old, my problem is I don't know how to pace, and I'm always looking at my watch like, oh God, I'm not going to make it. I'm gonna
That's why you
die.
don't look at your watch.
That's awesome. Do you have a JV division, or is it straight varsity? Are you allowed to pick and choose?
A varsity team consists of 7 runners.
Okay.
Most meets are 7 runners, and anyone outside of that is JV.
Gotcha. And how big is your team overall, on the guy side and the girl side? Like roughly, what's your?
Well, the girls are probably around 17, and
So they're gonna have a JV no matter what. No matter.
right. And
Okay.
our boys have not had a JV team yet this season.
Okay.
We're still waiting on a couple of other guys to
Okay.
get their paperwork in
Gotcha.
so they can be eligible. But if we have all our guys ready to go, we will have just exactly enough number 7 and 5.
How much can score for a team result?
5.
5. Okay.
So if you don't have-
5 out of 7.
If you don't have 5, then you can't score as a team. And you're just running as individuals. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. How many individuals can place on an event? Can direct all 3 places? Oh, you do top 10 like that. You don't do first, second, third only. You go how far deep in the competition?
It depends on the competition. Like Northport, like we need top 20.
Oh, top 20.
Medals.
So you've got a lot going on with coaching and everything else. This tournament that's happening this weekend, right?
Next weekend,
Next weekend. So you're expecting how many teams again?
90.
90, which is crazy.
I don't know how you're gonna park.
Well,
Well, I do split it up in 2 days.
that's all right, but still a meet to meet.
Yeah, the first day we'll have probably about 20 schools, and then the following day, well, they'll overlap. It's not just 70; it'll probably be 75, but they'll overlap.
How many hours is that going to take how many hours a day?
Just the setup alone.
the setup?
Set up in the event too, because you've got, if you're going to run it over 2 days, how many hours of those 2 days?
Well, we usually spend the whole week setting the course up. I take Friday off of school to get everything just organized and set up, ready to go. Friday afternoon, the teams will start coming, and we'll have, like I said, we'll have 4 races on Friday, and then get a quick nap and then come back around 4 in the morning and get everything set up and ready to go again for another 8 races.
So if we have, do you break those down? Like,
There's different divisions, yes.
okay, so that it matters to people too, and it matters to the runners too, to have those breakdowns. But if people wanted to find out information, where would they find that? Can they go on the school website?
I believe so. If not, I'll look
You
into
got a
it.
Facebook page.
I have a track and field Facebook page, yes.
Yeah.
And I post all our meet information.
So what's the name of it?
Northport Track and Cross Country.
Northport Track and Cross Country on Facebook. So anybody watching out there, Facebook land, you can definitely follow in, and if you want to volunteer, get a hold of Coach Fu. If you call the high school, automatically they all know who Coach Fu is. So no fooling around, right?
Oh,
Call
yeah.
Coach Fu.
That is, sir. No fooling around.
Yeah.
Hey, John, real quick. Coach, don't you have a little fundraiser you got for the billboard, the electric billboard?
We have a 10x4 electronic scoreboard that is posted at the finish line. It shows up instant results with the athlete's name, time, and then we also put business logos on there.
Awesome. And so how would they get a hold of you to do that?
They can email me. This is the last week I can submit the logo. So if they email me, it's $100 for them just to have their logo on the scoreboard, which honestly is going to be used throughout the whole event.
Right.
And it's going to be 2 days, constant scrolling. So their logo will be seen.
So give your do they email you?
They email me.
Give your email address.
All right, it's very long. Can we type it in somewhere?
Yeah, go ahead and give it, but I will definitely put it in as a comment.
All right, it's my real first name is PHUONG.NGUYEN, and it's at SarasotaCountySchools.net.
Awesome. And they can find that online too.
Yes, they can find that online.
100%.
Under the athletic page on our school webpage.
Well, Coach, I didn't bring my prop. I had a prop for tonight. I couldn't find it. I got a cowbell.
Oh,
And
nice.
there's a story behind that cowbell. I've been the lead cart for how long now?
Probably about 8.
That's the coolest thing I have ever done outside of announcing for the high school. I get to sit in the cart in front of all the runners with a cowbell, and off we go. We lead around, and the coolest thing about it is when I get to the part where Price is at, especially the JV parents don't know any better. They try to get on the course and take pictures of their kids.
Yep.
And and they don't want to get out of the way. I'm like, guys, it's not about you. There's 100 kids about to barrel through and run you over. You better
Absolutely.
get out of the way. I love doing it. I can't wait to do it next week. One of my favorite days of the year. I'm honored to be on the card again. One more year at least.
Well,
Take me off.
Thanks for being part of the show, and thanks for doing
Can
that.
I tell one story before?
Sure,
Of course.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a little segue.
Yeah.
21 years ago, before I took a job in Northport, I moved back to Florida, and I had to take a job at Taylor Ranch Elementary as an after-school teacher. I taught fourth graders, and your next coach coming up was in that class.
Oh, that's
Whoa,
crazy.
Say it again. Where was this?
Taylor Ranch Elementary.
Wow.
Fu, you got a football pass where you go. You got to tell you that. He's got some football on him as well. He's also were you a football coach for the high school?
I started as a football coach before I took over the cross country program.
It's a heck of a transition from that to cross country. That's
But-
pretty cool.
I gotta know, now that you have someone you taught in elementary, do you feel older now?
Oh, 100%. Every time I see him.
Well, now you know how we all feel.
Taggart, real quick, where are you going to go next year? Have you thought about it?
Yeah, so my main college prospects right now are either UF or MIT.
Well, Jesus.
Awesome.
Good Lord.
Awesome.
Thank you, fans. Appreciate it. Thank you. Taggart, congratulations. Go Gators. Alumni
Nice, buddy.
of 95.
Good job. Good job.
All right.
Good job, buddy.
Thanks,
Congrats.
Coach. See you next week. All right. While transitioning fans, we got some great specials coming up for you here at the Blitz. The Northport People Brady's is going to do a nice little special. You can come back after the game, next football game, bring your ticket stub. They'll take 10% off your menu, and that includes free chips and salsa. And you may use that throughout the week, not just Friday, because obviously we'll be playing those home games. So save your Bobcat football ticket stub. Come back anytime of the week, and you may redeem it for 10% off, as well as a free chips and soda. Okay, our next guest.
What's up, fellas?
Oh,
How you doing, buddy?
What's going on?
Oh,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh,
Give it up for
All
football.
right, Coach, to the back with the
Thanks for the
update.
gifts, man.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
The port.
Woo.
Oh, my goodness.
I love it. That is fantastic.
You can even fit the size to your.
I
head, man.
love that. I can't believe
Yeah.
it. You finally got a big enough hat.
Hey, listen,
I was
they said buckets. I said, okay.
Bucket.
Speak my language.
Where were these hats from?
They
Are
are
you
buckets.
selling these
Oh my
for-
gosh.
Oh no, I just made an unnecessary purchase, and I want to get into kind of people around me, coaches, people part of the program.
So you got to earn this then. Fans,
Oh,
you gotta earn
no,
this.
no, those
Oh,
ain't
no.
free. Oh yeah, no.
No, but we gotta earn
Oh,
it by
yeah.
being part of your
No
team.
question. Oh, yeah. Being a part of the
I love it.
All right. Well, for
So-
those of you out there listening, I have varsity football coach Belsor. He had a great introduction last week with us. We brought him back because we want to hear what happened last week. For those of you who don't know, because we've only been
Love it.
flashing everywhere for
Love
a week,
it.
we know what happened. But in case you don't know what happened,
Slide in
Coach, what happened?
right there.
I got you. Are we good now?
How good.
Fantastic. All right, hey, we picked up our first home win of the season. It's our first home game. Really put it on IMG Blue, 38-20. Probably should have been a little more than that, but we made a few mistakes. But the kids needed it. I needed it. You know.
The city needed it.
Oh, no
Let's
question.
go.
No question. The ones that pay attention.
The ones who
needed
pay
it. Oh, yeah,
attention.
yeah. The rest will follow.
Yeah, and let's talk about that a little bit because the importance of a victory for your team last week.
Oh, the level of it?
Yeah.
It's been since 2021, so I'd say it was much needed. You know, I don't want to hang my hat on one victory, you know, but in terms of kind of getting our heads right, it was right up the alley of necessity, you know, and the kids they took their challenge very seriously, because after that first week where we got absolutely mollywopped, we really, really pushed them the past 2 weeks to kind of flip the complexion of how they're viewed. And I think they did that to a certain extent.
So what are some of the things that I'm going to have you talk directly into the mic? What are some of the things that your team did the second week that they learned from the first?
I think they went into the first week way too confident in the fact that they had one good game in a spring game that doesn't count. And mentally, I think that put them in a bad spot. I know we took the time and we prepared them. We went through everything humanly possible on that end of things. But when they came out and got hit in the mouth a little bit.
Louder.
Okay.
There you go.
I'll project it a little bit. Okay. But when they came and got hit in the mouth in that first game, it seems to have pushed them in the right direction in terms of their effort and their attitude in practice. I wouldn't say it's perfect, not even near close. But there's visible change, and I think that attributed to it correctly and appropriately.
Do you feel like the team camaraderie came together a little better this week?
I think a little better in terms of them pushing each other and not just feeling comfortable enough to coast through a practice and think they're, you know, the hot deal and they can just show up and win football games, because that's not how it works.
And there's the funny thing, we talked about cheerleading. We went into track and cross country, and I don't care whatever sport you play at the high school level anywhere. There's a lot of teamwork that has to go in. There's a lot of individual preparation that has to go in. And I'm going to use a word, accountability. There has to be some accountability built within the program. Do you feel like that you had some people step up and kind of try to hold that accountability factor?
I believe we did. There's a few older guys that I really put a challenge to once we came back in after the parish week, and gave them a little reality dose, kind of where my head was at with things and where I expected things to go. And if they weren't willing to step up to that, then I'd find someone who was willing to do so, whether it was a young guy or them. And I don't want that to seem like it's an imposing thing or trying to threaten anybody, but it's more of trying to get them to intrinsically make that decision. Oh, I got to be that guy.
Yep.
They need me to be that guy. I need to step up. I need to be a leader in some sort of capacity. But no, I think the appropriate guys did their job, and the results showed it.
Coach,
Fantastic.
we'll talk about the game presentation a little bit, but going into halftime, it was all tied up. We were all tied up at 14 apiece. Second half adjustments. Wow, what a difference. I haven't seen, in how many years I've been doing this in Newport High as a fan and as a teacher, I don't think I've seen as good a second half adjustment than that last. Not even the total game, just the second half adjustment. What did y'all do in the locker room?
Truthfully, we didn't do anything change-wise in terms of game plan, offensively or defensively. I think it was more of just a.
You scored 24 to their 6 in the second half.
Well, again, it's nothing magical or anything like that. I'm not going to act like we went in there and just destroyed everybody to get them to suddenly wake up. No, that's not the case. But we knew that we left a lot on the board, kind of in general throughout the game, and we put them in spots to be competitive off of our own mistakes, which again comes with the team still trying to figure out how to do things correctly. But again, I don't think it was an epiphanal moment or anything like that, but they realized that, hey, we can get these guys if we jump on them now.
Well, my follow-up to that is, what did the offensive line figure out at halftime that got Zeke open so well? I mean, that was a great offensive line, let alone Zeke's great performance individually, but to get him open. Like
no! If you watch the film, they were absolutely rolling people. They were rolling the whole first half. Again, we would have been up earlier if it had not been for our own mistakes. Our offensive line established the tempo from the jump, and it was, hey, we're going to run at your face, and if you don't like it, that's a shame for you.
You said that last week. That's what your plan was.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah, that's our plan every week until we have to pass. Yeah.
And stick with the line there for a minute, because we've been through years of trying to change the program. We talked about it a little bit last week. Do you feel like there's a positive message that you can send to these kids this week to keep them focused for next week? Because getting wins is one thing, but building wins is another. And we all know that. And there's a good opportunity to capture more wins.
Oh, 100%. We are kind of in the portion of our schedule where if we continue to play like we are and put them in good spots to be successful, we can run off a series of wins, which isn't a very common thing around here. But it's, I guess the biggest message is to them is it's not guaranteed. Like, no one cares that we won a game against one of the IMG teams.
Right.
Like, everybody's already over at this point. They should be over it. Yeah, it was fantastic in the moment, and I hope they enjoyed it, but I've forgotten about it. They should forget about it, and we have the best team we're playing this week showing up on Thursday, and they need to treat it as such.
Well, somebody just asked a question. Do you like the hats? I don't know who asked the question because it comes up as Facebook user, but love the hats. Are you kidding me? We don't like them. We love them. This is fantastic. You know what? No, I listen. There's something to be said. This is our second show. We had 1,000 viewers last week, over 1,000 viewers last week, which is amazing. Because the more this gets shared, the better off it is. The more that you come into Beef O'Brady's and thank them for what we're doing here, come out and have a sandwich with us. Listen to the show live.
It's taco night.
Taco Tuesday. Right. On top of that, I'm going to have to reboot, I think. But on top of that, here's what I'll tell you, is that if you absolutely want to make a difference, hang out with us on Tuesdays. Be part of this crowd, inviting crowd, because I like to throw some I think student body challenge out there. I dare any of the student body to show me how their school pride is by dressing up and coming in. I'll put you on the air and you can talk about why you dressed up with school pride, because we haven't seen school pride at all on this show other than from athletes. But I'm going to challenge all the students out there. Bring in your school pride. I know that Northport used to have it because my son was one of them. And he used to paint himself up, do all kinds of stuff just to get that attention. And I think we need to get school pride first and foremost back in motion. And I think it's a great thing. And that's what you guys are doing as coaches.
No,
Go ahead.
You don't think about it so much as that, you know what I mean? But it's one of the byproducts of doing what we do. You know, it's you can't just expect people to care. You can't just expect people to want to come out and support you guys. You got to give them reasons. You know, whether it be treating people right.
Project for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Project louder.
Whether it be treat people right or just, you know, as a whole, being present in a good capacity on campus. that all goes a long way. You can't expect people to care about what you're doing if you treat them incorrectly, if you don't put any effort towards what they're doing. It's just, I believe it's an absolute necessity in terms of making things go.
John, I already got a can't wait to come next Tuesday by a fan. That's fantastic. Good job.
Awesome.
Thank you. By the way, before we get going, I forgot to mention, we had a table here earlier. They came in just for the heck of it. Didn't know we had a show. They stayed for the entire dinner.
Yeah, they were.
It's getting there, John.
Actually, you know what? They
It's
stayed
getting
a good
there.
hour, so
They did.
hour plus,
That's awesome.
which is amazing. What was it like to win at home?
I'm next.
It was needed because we hadn't done it since 2021. We played at Estero High School, so long overdue. If anything, I was more relieved at the fact that we got to that point. We can get past the whole finally winning our first game in 11 games deal, because I hate talking like that. But, we have our chance to go on a streak, and I believe that's a very reasonable thing to believe as long as we work hard and continue doing what we have to do. But yeah, I'm ready to get past that whole narrative of things.
All right, my take on that.
Here it comes.
This is my second year as your football announcer. I was utterly depressed last year that I didn't get to selfishly, as an announcer, call Bobcats win, Bobcats win, Bobcats win
Tell me about
at the end of the game last year. Of course, that's exactly what I did when that final buzzer hit. It was coming out. Crowd was having a great time. I couldn't stop thanking everybody on the planet. That was just amazing. We got a great lineup, but finally got to do that first home.
Oh, no,
It makes, because every night I'm coming out.
It's crazy.
Every time I
Yep.
have a loss, because we put just much energy in as a fan. I know not as much as you guys do,
no,
but
but it's
it drains you when all you see is loss after loss.
caring matters.
Yeah, so
Again.
it meant a lot to me as well.
Oh no, I was just glad it was over with. To be quite honest with you, because even though we got out to that lead in the second half, I was still.
I was nervous as an announcer.
Oh no!
It
Listen.
was still close.
Yeah, I was not so nervous, more just
It was,
relieved that
for the
they-
fans out there, it was
Yeah.
24-20 at the end of the third quarter,
Mhm.
and we didn't know that you were going to, skunk them out the rest of that.
Oh no,
quarter.
we
So,
opened it up after that.
Yeah.
Again, I'll go back to we should have had more points, but again, I'm never really happy. But that's just
You
my,
won't be.
that's
Wait a
my
minute.
own
That's
fault.
that's a head coach's job.
That's right.
I don't care if you won 34-0. You're not going to be happy.
I'm
There's
still
something you did wrong.
disappointed about something.
Yes, absolutely.
I hate being a curmudgeon all the time, but if they start resting on the things that get them to that point, then it's just going to repeat.
Coach, how did the team handle the press they got the next day? Because we were blasting it everywhere.
Oh,
You're in the sun.
They didn't handle it well at all, because they came out to practice Monday absolutely flat, and it was a very frustrating day. So, again, I love that they were able to enjoy the victory, but they certainly thought they were the New England Patriots for. Oh yeah, no, we had to bring it back down to earth on Monday. 'cause-
Well, that's reality, and that's building wins versus appreciating a win. And head coaches, they don't do this. All the coaching staff, any coach, any coaching staff, they don't go after the win. They go after wins. They're building that tradition. And we talked about that last week, how important it is for not just the athletes to feel it, but the student body to feel that.
Oh, speaking about that, our student section were absolutely animals. I don't usually hear crowd noise behind me, but
Did
the
we get
student-
to your head finally? You listened
Oh,
to
the
it? You did a
student
little
section.
crack over your
Oh
headphone?
no, I had to listen to it. It was so good. It was so
I'm
good.
going to put that on my
Oh,
table cloth.
it was so good. Like if we can double that size of students and at least keep it within reason of, not crossing the line with what they're saying. Listen,
They got
they're
close, though.
insane.
They got
Oh
close
no,
on one
hey,
of them.
hey, listen, they're the bad
I'm going
batch,
to
man.
repeat it, but they got close on one of
It's
them.
a bad batch. They get after it. Our guys feel it. I love it. No, that was one of the biggest things for me.
But you talked about that, but what was the reaction of the football team realizing, one, they had it in the bag at some point, but also that they had the student body section support, because that doesn't happen very often.
No,
Or hasn't.
No, in the past, I think it's been a bad trend of, okay, we're going to go to the first game, we'll see how they do, and then we'll determine if we come back again. In previous years, it's my first year won the first game, but I think we kind of got a little bit lucky on that one because we beat a pretty good Estero team. But I really don't know where to go with it besides it's just a relief. It was more weight off shoulders. It was really great to watch our players be happy as opposed to the sad faces on the sideline. But going back to it, that was my favorite part was seeing them just ecstatic at the fact, like, hey, like we've reached the point we know we could get to.
We can do this
Now we
now.
just gotta do it more often.
Right, and we got to focus because
Yes, yeah.
you know what? There's as a coach, there's a playbook that you ran, and now there's going to be another playbook that you run
Oh, 100%.
because there's some more learning that has to happen. There's some more growth that has to happen, and that happens in any program. Talk about how you dealt with that because that's the settling down part that you guys had to do on Monday to really get them to refocus and say, listen, that we can do more. Talk about that and what your leadership of your team meant.
Well, I think it's harder to make them have that sustained want to do it because, especially when you're a new team to winning consistently, you feel like, oh, we got the win, man. It's all good from here on, regardless of what happens. But if anything, personally, I wish it just makes them more unsatisfied to the fact, okay, we won all right. It was sweet, we won, but now we got to do it again, but better. And
And
better.
the next team's gonna know who Baez is.
Oh, no.
So they're already.
Oh, I
The surprise is over.
hope they know who he is. So he ain't gonna be a secret, But that's something I was more, internally expecting, just because in practice he flashed it so much and potential to do it, and we just played so poorly, kind of as an offensive line that first week. He did the best he absolutely could against Parrish, but we finally got the offensive line rolling all together. Our tight end blocked his ass off.
Is that Zero White?
Oh yeah, Pat
He's
White.
one of my little table persons here in a minute. Okay.
Nice.
Oh no, he's one of those guys I really dug into that first week. Full transparency on that, just because I thought him and a few of our older players did not play up to the expectations we had, and it was reflected by what they were doing in practice leading up to it. Not that they were not paying attention or not doing what they're supposed to, but you could just see the lax nature,
Yep.
the kind of coasting to the game, body language and mindset. It was evident that they took the next 2 weeks very seriously because he played unbelievably well. Eric Dart played well, another senior who I really challenged and stepped at. Anthony Sterling played well. I was very, very happy that they responded the right way.
What's really cool with what you just said was that I'm listening to names. I'm not listening to a name.
Right.
You're calling out a lot of different names, and you could probably go on.
Oh, I could find a reason to talk.
Yes, sorry. So I can find a reason to talk about just about all of them. Mostly for positive things. There's a few that are still kind of grinding my gears right now. But in terms of last Thursday, no, there was very few negatives to take away from the game in terms of player effort and what they gave to us.
And I want to stay there for a second because player effort is one thing, and you said this last week. If they just work hard and they're doing their job and they're grinding it out, I'm okay with that. Well, that's production in any sense of the word. But when you teach that, there's a lot of growth that can come from that. And are you talking to them about that next level? Not getting over the top, but just nudging them to be in that zone of, you know what, if you just stay focused and you keep grinding in practice is game time. Practice is game time. Is that what you're doing?
Oh, we hammer that on them all the time. That's one of those things I establish as much as possible in the beginning of summer and the beginning of fall camp and in spring ball is, hey man, like, you better keep your stuff tight and you better stay working hard and expect to earn your position every year, or someone is going to come in and do what we're asking of them. Maybe you're not doing what you used to be asked. Maybe they are. and they're just the next guy. They're the best guy for it. We're going to do what's best for the team. And
Absolutely.
if that's what's best for the team, then, we have to make tough decisions sometimes. And we don't make those decisions to make anyone feel bad or to take away from them as a football player, as a person. But we have a job. They have a job. And we don't muddy the lines or make it blurry on what our expectations are. So I feel like we're very good about putting that up front, and not a lot of people handle that in a good way, but I think that's the best policy.
And as a coach, as a head coach, they follow that leadership value that you're bringing. And we had several people make comments after last week's show about their appreciation for what was coming out of coaches as far as the high school goes. Why are you handling this? You're a young coach. Come back, you're new here. Why are you grounded with this quiet giant subtlety? That's what I call it.
I couldn't give you an exact reason why, you know what I mean? That's just, I think a lot of it just stems from how I was raised and the people I was around as a young man and going through college ranks as a player and as a young coach. I think that's kind of guided and molded kind of how I wanted to approach the team and approach the players and just this job as a whole.
Well, I like that because I'm going to ask, how old are you?
Just turned 30 in June.
All right, so 30-year-old football coach with a young generation mindset, with a young generation that definitely has a lot of changes happening with the next level even. You've got the NIT and all that talk, conversation of money, and it's changed the whole collegiate side of things, but it also changes the mindset of a lot of athletes today.
Going into high school, especially as high-profile athletes or just an athlete in general, it's a total different mindset. They were sold on the idea of an education, 4-year, 5-year education. That was your payment.
Right.
That was the compensation for being an athlete. We're paying this, we're taking care of you. You're getting this value from your degree. But I see it from both sides of the fence. I think those athletes do deserve to have some sort of monetary gain at that level, especially if it's coming from the benefit of their own playing or likeness, anything like that. I mean, especially if Division I football coaches can make $56 million and ADs can make $3 and $5 million.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to hear nothing about it. Like, those guys deserve it.
So the where I see at 30 years old, it's the communication that you're having with a lot of these younger athletes now, because a lot of us old schoolers, we have an opinion of it. It may be a little different, but you've kind of been through the gamut. And I think that communication to young athletes for even an older program, I see a lot of coaches that are bringing in younger players to have these conversations.
Yes. Well, I don't think if you don't evolve as a coach, I know, again, in the grand scale of things, I'm not the oldest person that's been doing this or had the most experience, but I'm sure the successful coaches can tell you that if you don't evolve with the players around you, or if you try to stay the same way and as firm as stone and you don't want to change, this is your way and how things do, everybody else will pass you up.
Right.
You'll sit there wondering why your stuff doesn't work anymore. What's changed? That's the thing. Nothing's changed. So if you think the same old thing's always going to work, it may work for a while. But even those guys know that, hey, I got to adapt to my situation if I want to keep living, so to speak, or surviving in the environment that I'm in.
Yep. I think Sean's got another one.
Oh, I'm ready for the away game here. I'm bursting with this announcement.
Oh,
I've been waiting all day for this announcement. Can Coach tell us the great news?
Oh, no.
Guys,
Absolutely.
we have, I think we're off. Oh, we're good. All right, so we have something pretty historic to announce tonight. No one's heard this yet officially. I want Coach Belsor to tell the whole Bobcat Blitz Nation out there what we got planned 2 Fridays from now. Go ahead, Coach.
So our away game coming up at Gateway High School is going to be the first live covered football game for Northport High School on the road. It's really exciting to have heard that, especially from Sean, and learning about how this was developed and how it's come along. Kind of just the whole deal, even tied in with the radio program. It's little things like that that push things the right way. And if you want to continue to reach out and have your audience have that direct line or feed into what we're doing, so to speak, you're going to have to make it as inclusive as possible. And no parents want to sit there looking at text message updates if they can help it. So when there's that option to watch and hear live and feel that kind
What
of
is different
it's
for
insane.
fans that come here? Like, wait, I can see. And part 2 of that announcement, we're going to have a watch party here in this room that Friday, 2 Fridays from now. They're going to have it on the big screen TV. They're going to pipe in the audio somehow. We got to figure that out. And we'll figure it out by then.
So pay attention next Tuesday because we'll firm everything up by then.
But start clearing the schedules now.
Yep, because we've got a lot of work to do on that project. And that 2 week period of time, I will tell you that is as much as we're going to work, we need the football team and every other athlete out there to work just as hard. And we need the student body to step up their game. And home games, away games, it doesn't matter. Voices are voices. And if you're on the road with your team and there's a victory, I promise you, if there's 10 of you, that other side feels like there's 3,000 of you. And that matters. Away games are very important for any program. And it's really important. Talk about that for a minute.
From our side of things, we've had more away attendance, I feel like, in our first away game this year than we had all of last year. And again, I think that's more of a testament to the parent groups that have been here going on to their 3rd or 2nd year, and the ones that still, firmly believe in what we're doing. It's a welcome change. Regardless of the result, it's nice for the kids to be able to look back there and see people that care about them, willing to make a trip, even if it's a long trip sometimes. It goes a long way, and I'm sure they realize that, but I don't know how much they know how much the difference makes.
Before they go away, they'll have one more chance this week to see us home. But go ahead and give us a little rundown. What do you think of Ambassador Christian Academy? It's going to be a Thursday night game, 7 p.m. kickoff. Not Friday. It's a Thursday game here in the Preserve.
Last Thursday game, thankfully, I'm ready to get back to Friday nights. Ambassadors, they're about a 2-hour trip north of us. Truthfully, I don't know much about them. They're still a relatively young team.
Yeah,
they haven't had a great first year so far, I know, but they're not going to show up expecting to lose. And I really hope our guys don't think they're just going to be able to put on a jersey and win on Thursday, because that's not the case. Those guys want to win too, and they're going to travel down here not to just get whooped up on.
Yeah, they're the Ambassador Christian Academy Stallions out of Winter Haven. This is their 3rd season in existence, so they're obviously looking to get a signature win for their program, steal one from us if they can. So that's got to consider them enough right there to tell your kids, hey, they're just as hungry for a win as you guys are.
If they can.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I appreciate you, Coach. Thank you very much. Let's give it up for football.
Football update.
Thank you.
That's going to be.
We lost it again. Yell louder. Yell louder. Nope.
Can you hear me on the feed?
Nope.
All right. Go
Yeah,
on,
they
man.
can hear you on the.
By the way, guys, don't forget tomorrow night, the Preserve, the JV, the 2-0 JV team is going for their 3rd win against Port Charlotte. That's going to be, I believe, a 5:30 kickoff. 6 o'clock kickoff. Come on out there. We want to see our JV kids stay 3-0 here if we can. That'd be fantastic. We also have in the cage varsity volleyball taking on Lemon Bay. That is another big game. I know last week I said that the Port Charlotte game was pretty big, and it was. It was a very close game, back and forth both sets at first. A lot of runs on both sides. Couldn't quite catch those first 2 sets. We came back beautifully in the 3rd set. They didn't just have enough of that 4th set. They ended up taking on 3-1. Ladies went on the weekend. They went into Charlotte, had a tournament. They had an impossible bracket. They took on one of the state champions, the Seacrest. They lost to them. They took on Riverview, which is another one of the power volleyball teams in this area. But they rebounded nicely. They took out DeSoto and LaBelle. So they finished 2-2 on that tournament. It's a very good finish. You don't want to finish last in that grouping, so that's a wonderful thing. And they beat Gulf Coast Heat yesterday. So your Lady Bobcats are at 5-4 right now. So tomorrow night, students, we need you in the crowd. If you're not in the football game, at least come on over and support your Lady Bobcat volleyball. I do have a few announcer table moments, not as much as
Go ahead.
last time.
Go ahead.
We've got to start with the football game. That was unbelievable student section. It was neon night. Thursday night, we're going to have USA. So red, white, and blue. The student section is called The Block, and they were amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I really couldn't believe how great. Cheerleaders were fantastic. They did a great job right at the block. They were wonderful. Mrs. Allegria and the marching band, they nailed it on the very first take there. They're only going to get better and better. So I had a wonderful time. The press man up there was talking about us all night, how great we're doing. He's never seen us play this well before.
It's great.
So it's a contagious feeling. You just keep winning. You're going to want to keep doing some more. And I can't wait to announce even more of those wins.
Well, guess what? We have been on the air now for about an hour and 25
We
minutes.
could go 2 more hours.
Yeah, we could.
go home work.
But like, share, love this. Comments. We love the comments. Keep them coming. Encourage other people to watch or come into Beefo Brady's and be part of this. I promise you, if we can get this thing rocking and rolling, and I know we can, let's have some fun with it.
Yeah.
And bring in the spirit. Bring in the spirit of the Bobcat wins, the Bobcat way. Go check out the cross country meet Coach Fu has got going on in 2 weeks. I promise you, if you've never seen 90 teams in one location, you might want to go check that out because in your lifetime, it may never happen again, other than next year when he goes to 110, because I know his goals are high. But really, follow, like, comments, love them all. Let's go Bobcats,
All right.
and have a good week.
Good job,
We'll see you guys next
Good job,
Tuesday.
everybody. Thank you.
No problem. Yep.